everybody. Welcome to my brand new YouTube channel. I've had some new sewers in the shop wanting to make masks, liking the way mine fit. So instead of trying to explain it to them, I thought I'd show them. So my first video will be on how to make a mask. This is the mask that I was wearing, and it is called a Batwing mask. I found the pattern on Facebook. It was a free downloadable pattern, and it comes in the 3 sizes, men's, women's, and children. And you're going to need 2 pieces of fabric. You're going to need a main fabric and a lining. This happens to be my lining. I folded it in half. You can see that I marked the fold just so I would make sure that I knew where it was. And then we're just going to use my template plastic, and we're going to use the edge. We can either draw and cut it out, or I'm just going to live dangerously and I'm going to cut it with my rotary cutter. So we're just going to take a minute and we're just going to cut this out. I really like using the 28mm cutter for something like this because of the curve. With the smaller wheel, it goes around the curves a lot better. We're just going to cut all this out. So we're going to cut again 1 for the lining, and then for our main fabric, you can see that I also put a lightweight fusible interfacing on the back, and I cut that out as well. So we have the 2 pieces. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to sew the darts. So you can see the dart for the nose. We're going to fold it so it's right into that point. And today I'm going to sew with black thread, just hopefully you'll be able to see. I set my sewing machine to a 2.0 length stitch, and I have my 1/4 inch foot on there. So I'm just going to sew. So on this nose piece, I'm going to follow the curve, and I'm going to sew it down, and when I get to the end, I'm going to backstitch, just so it doesn't unravel while we're pulling on it. We're also going to take the chin darts. Again, fold right into that dart, lining up the 2 sides, and we're just going to go straight down to the edge and backstitch. 1 more, straight down, and backstitch. So I'm going to do the exact same thing with our lining. Just clipping my threads so they don't get in the way. I'm using a solid piece for my lining, so there isn't really a right or a wrong side. Just make sure that you fold them all on the same side. Again, with that curve on the nose, just follow that curve along down, and you'll get a nice shape to it. 1, 2, and 1 more on this side. So now we're going to take our mask, and I'm just going to finger press our seams out for the main fabric and in for the lining fabric. And what that will do is allow those seams to nest very nicely. Right now we have to get some elastic. I like to cut 5-inch pieces. It fits my face well. This is just can be adjusted to fit your face or whomever you're making it for. So I've got my two 5-inch pieces of elastic, and I'm going to take my main fabric. Remembering that we're sewing with a 1/4 inch seam, so we want to make sure that our elastic isn't too close to the edge, that it's not going to get caught into our seam. So I put it over approximately 1/2 inch, pin this side on, make a nice flat U so there's no twists in it. Again, making sure that 1/4 inch is over. So I have the one piece of elastic on that side. I will have one piece of elastic on this side. I'm eyeballing it, but you can also measure over the 1/2 inch if you are unsure of your measurements. And now we're just going to place our masks right size together. So this is the nose, so we want to make sure that the nose goes together, pressing the seams in opposite directions, and we'll just place a pin. So here's where we pressed our seams. You can see this one goes out, this one goes in. You can pin that nicely. Again here, this one's going in. Make sure that one's going out. And I also want to pin these ends. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pinch it. I'm going to take the pin that's holding my elastic, move it so it's through all the 2 layers of fabric and the elastic. Again with this side, let's get our elastic underneath, line it up, align it up, and then we're ready to sew. So we have to leave an opening so we can turn it right sides out. So when you're ever doing anything that you're turning your layers, make sure you never leave your hole in a seam or on a corner. So with this mask, I've got a space right there that's big enough for us to be able to turn it. So I'm just going to start here. I'm going to back stitch a couple stitches just so it doesn't pull while we're doesn't come undone while we're pulling on it. And then off we go. I'm just aligning the 1/4 inch foot along the edge of my fabric, making sure my seams are going in opposite directions. Now there's 2 ways that you can do it at the corner. You can either sew right off, cut your thread, whoops, and then continue sewing on this side. When I sew over my elastic, because that's an area that we're going to pull a lot, I just like to reinforce it a little bit by going back and forth. I take my pins out. I don't like to sew with pins. Just back and forth over my elastic. So on this corner, I'll show you the other way to do it. All you have to do is sew to within the 1/4 inch. Put your needle down, lift your foot, and just pivot and continue on up the other end. This is a curve, making sure everything's aligned up nicely. You can always put a few extra pins if you like. And let's flatten this curve a little bit on the nose. I do like to sew with my needle in the down position because it helps lock my fabric, and then I can adjust my seams as I go. Sewing up to that 1/4 inch, pivoting. That's my favorite method. Then I don't have to worry about ends. Over the elastic, back, forward, up to the other side, back, up to that 1/4 inch, needle down, and I can pivot around. I think we can take one more stitch. There we go. Now I want to make sure that I'm coming around the corner a few stitches, and then I'm going to back up, making sure that I leave my opening, don't go too far. There we go. All I'm going to do now is clip my corners. Oops, got my scissors jammed. These aren't the best scissors for doing this. I don't know where my other ones are. Also going to take the nose piece and my other corner, and all this is doing is just reducing the bulk and making it turn a little bit smoother. Alrighty, so all I have to do is turn this right sides out. And this takes a minute. Sometimes if I'm doing a bunch of these, I'll sew it to this stage, then I'll go watch a movie and turn them while we're watching TV. There we go. And we just want to open up these corners, make sure our seams are open up all the way, and I just roll them and flatten them, opening it up. If you've got it that the corner didn't come out, you can take a pin or a purple thing. You can just pull that out nicely. Also this side. There we go. So I've tucked my seam under, and at this point you could actually sew that up by hand, or I like to go one step further. I like to do a little bit of top stitching. I'm going to increase my stitch to a 3 for this, and I am going to sew about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. So what that's going to do is close my hole that I had there, but it's also going to keep my seam from rolling and turning, especially when we wash it. I just like the look. I think it makes a nice flatter, more finished look to it. And as I go, my needle's holding it, and I can make sure that I open up those seams and adjust them so I'm not sewing any puckers in them. I'm going to go to the corner, needle down, and turn. Now, it's a lot of bulk there, and the sewing machine has a little bit of difficulty, so you can just sew slowly, and usually your feed dogs will grab it. If you have to, you can stick a pin in and help it along. So just take a couple slow stitches, and your sewing machine usually catches it for you. Another thing is I have a brand new needle in there, and that really helps as well. I'm up here at the nose part, so I want to make sure that everything's nice and flat and I don't get any creases in it. before I get there. And down. I'm going to lock my ends. Cut my thread. Trim. And there you have it. As easy as that. A really nice fitted mask. Well, you can tell this one's for Halloween. If you have any questions, lady, you know where I am. I'm at the store from 1 to 5. So just give me a call. And we'll see you later. Bye.